So to make the legs, we're gonna need 8 pool noodles. This is the only color they had, but try to get black if you can. We'll need some toothpicks, some E6000 glue. Hot glue doesn't work well for this project. And we'll also need some black spray paint. So we're gonna take the pool noodles. I'm folding it in half to find the halfway point because I cut mine in half. I cut mine on a slant, but I would recommend cutting it just straight down and then cutting one side slanted. But in any case, we're gonna go ahead and measure it up. I'm cutting off the excess because it's sticking out, and also cutting off the excess gives you that flat look, which actually works better for one of the legs. Then we're gonna go ahead and put the E6000 glue on. Now we know the E6000 glue isn't going to dry immediately, so that's what we're gonna use the toothpicks for. Once you attach it, then you're gonna use the toothpicks to hold it together. I use 2 toothpicks. You can use more than 2, but I would say use at least 2. But you can take the toothpicks out once it's dry, but I actually ended up leaving them there because it also just gives it a more secure hold. All right, and just make 7 more of these, and then you'll have the legs for your spider. So once you're done making all your legs, you're just gonna spray paint them black. If you weren't able to find black pool noodles, that's what I'm doing now. I used about 2 cans and I sprayed them twice. Now we're gonna make the body. So I decided to use this tin foil pan. We're gonna also use spray foam. And we also need black spray paint. So basically what I'm trying to do is fill up the pan with the spray foam. I almost want to suggest using a more shallow pan, but I'm not gonna say that you should because of how I put the legs in, because you kind of need that depth to make the legs work. Right, so like I said, basically I'm trying to fill up the pan. Try to make it as even as possible. All right, now we're gonna insert the legs into the foam before it dries so that it will hold it there. Now, as you can see, the legs, they won't just stand there because the foam is still wet. So what I would suggest is just using something to hold it up. So, just to make it stand up and hold it in that position until it's dry. But this is how I chose to insert the legs. As you can see, they keep falling down. Once all the legs are inserted, we're going to use more spray foam to go over it because the idea is to use the spray foam to secure the legs onto the body. So we're just gonna use, pile more spray foam on top of it and kind of see if you can create a shape, a little bit of a dome shape, so that, you can give the idea of the body of the spider. So as you can see, I'm kind of focused more on the middle now because I'm trying to create that dome shape. Be mindful that this is a very messy part. And I just decided to add some spray foam to the legs just to give it a little bit more texture I thought that would look a little bit more creepy. That's, of course, optional. This is very messy. The spray foam is all over the ground, but hopefully you can see what I meant. I'm using water bottles to hold the legs in place to give it time to dry. You need at least about 24 hours to give it to dry. And then once it's dry, it's time to spray paint it black to match the legs. Spray painting the foam was a little tedious because it's so textured, but just take your time. I think I ended up using 2 cans or maybe a can and a half for the foam. The brand that I'm using, I got it at Home Depot and it was like $2 or $3. So try to get that one. For the head, we are going to use floral foam, this Dollar Tree Ghost, some gems for the eyes, some wooden skewers, at least 2, and of course, black spray paint. So what I'm doing here with the floral foam has a square shape, which is not the shape of a head. So we're gonna just round out those sharp corners and make it into more of a tapered square, I guess. Just make the edges more round, if that makes sense. This is what the end result looks like. Now we're going to use the wooden skewers to attach the foam head directly to the foam body. And you're just going to stick it right through the foam head, right into the foam body, and make sure you push it all the way through to make sure that it's securely connected, and also to make sure that you cannot see that the wooden skewer sticking out. I used 2 and that was enough, but I would recommend using at least 2. You can certainly use more if you want, but definitely use at least 2 to get it secure. This is what's underneath the ghost. It's just kind of like a little foam filling, I guess. But I really wanted those 2 parts that were sticking out because I thought it would be cool to give the spider some fangs. So I'm just kind of cutting into that foam piece to get to this part. There's wires that's covered by some foam sleeves. So I'm going to cut the wire in half so I have 2 fangs. And basically I'm going to insert them into the foam head to create fangs. I'm going to skip forward ahead because I changed this a little bit. After I inserted those fangs, I looked at it the next day and I was like, I think the fangs are a little bit too long. I wanted to make them shorter, so I ended up just cutting them down a little bit. Also, they weren't staying inside the foam, so I'm gonna also use some hot glue to help them to adhere to the foam. I did not cut the wire. What I ended up doing was just I pulled the wire through a little bit more and cut off some of that foam sleeve to make the foam sleeve shorter. And then I curved the wire back to itself to secure that foam sleeve on. And then the rest of it at the bottom, that's the part I inserted into the foam, making sure I had enough so that it could go deep enough to sit securely. Now all I'm doing is just putting some hot glue on the part of the wire that's going to be stuck into the foam and just stick it in. It will dry when it touches the foam, and it will give it a secure hold. All right, now that we have our head on with the fangs, I took it outside to spray paint it, but unfortunately, the spray paint just wasn't working for the foam. It just, it wasn't working. The green kept showing. So what I ended up doing was I used some crepe paper from the dollar store. So basically what I did was I glued the crepe paper onto the foam, kind of like a base. So make sure the crepe paper is black, because black is the color you want. We're still going to spray paint it, but that just helps you to not waste spray paint and just makes it overall easier for you to achieve the look you're going for. And basically just hot glue the crepe paper all over the foam to cover up that green. I guess maybe it helped a little bit that I had already spray painted the foam black, so that's something to consider. All right, so again, we're just gonna spray paint it to get the color, the same as the rest of the spider so that it can match. And you just glue your gems on for the eyes, whatever color you choose. I went with red. I considered green, but red was the winner. And basically, voila, that's it. This was a pretty fun little project to do. It wasn't the simplest or the quickest, but definitely cool to make. If you're interested in stuff like this, let me know what you think down below. Thank you for watching.